Lebanon now, where at least 4 people have been killed after Israelis struck a hotel in central Beirut. Heidi Pett is live for us in the Lebanese capital. So the Israeli airstrikes have been ramped up across Lebanon over the last few hours. So bring us up to date with what and where it's been happening.
So just in the last 15 or 20 minutes, actually, there has been another strike on Dahia, which is Beirut's southern suburbs. That's the area that has been subject to this mass forced evacuation order. The first one of those was issued about 2 days ago. It was reissued yesterday, and just after midnight, we saw a huge Israeli airstrike on that area. But what has been unusual here in the capital tonight, another sleepless night, I must mention, for many, including some of the displaced who are trying to get what sleep they can on the corniche behind me. But what was unusual is this strike on this hotel. It's in an area of central Beirut called Raushe, which is overlooking the water. It's overlooking the Pigeon Rock, which is one of Beirut's most famous landmarks. And it represents a real expansion of the territorial area that Israel is targeting. Our team was able to go down there in the immediate aftermath of the strike. This hotel in downtown Beirut was the subject of an Israeli strike early in the hours of Sunday morning. It came with no warning. It appears to have been a targeted assassination attempt. The projectile struck just one room of the hotel. There's a bit of blast damage to the others. We do not yet know who the target of that was, but inside the hotel there were hundreds of other people, and we've spoken to a number of them this evening. They themselves have been displaced from Dahia after the Israeli military issued another forced evacuation order earlier on Saturday. And so they vacated their homes in a hurry. We've got hundreds of thousands of people displaced across Beirut and across the country. They went there because they were seeking a place of safety.
We were in the Duroy Hotel, which is opposite the Ramada Hotel, and it faces the hotel that was targeted in the attack. We were on the 4th floor, and it was directly opposite us. When the strike happened, we felt as if it had occurred right above our heads.
I was already living in the southern suburbs, and I had moved here after being displaced. This is not the first time. It is the second time that I've come here after being displaced. But this is the first time something like this has happened to us. In fact, it is the first time an assassination has taken place in a hotel in Lebanon, especially in Raushe. In Lebanon, this area is known for being safe, but in reality, it's not safe now.
Again, this continuation of the pattern of Israeli airstrikes expanding outside the areas that they say that they are targeting. They say that they're targeting Hezbollah. And so we're seeing continued airstrikes in the southern suburbs of Beirut, across the south of the country, close to the Israeli border, and also in the Bekaa Valley. And these are traditionally Shia areas, which is the support base for Hezbollah. But what we have seen tonight is this targeted assassination striking this hotel here in central Beirut, an area very far outside where you would expect to see something like that. And so it's raising the level of fear and tension here across the country as we're starting to see these Israeli airstrikes following the people who are fleeing them. And it makes people in the rest of the country very wary and potentially resentful of welcoming in and sheltering the people who have been displaced. Heidi, Pett, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Now, Heidi, as I understand it, there was no evacuation order given by Israel for that hotel strike that you just reported on there. Now, this is going to be a problem for the Lebanese government, which has already on a collision course, if you will, with Hezbollah politically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what has been quite unusual in the last week, and quite remarkable really, is that the Lebanese government has taken the step of declaring Hezbollah's military and security activities to be illegal. It's the first time that this has happened. Hezbollah, of course, is one of the many armed factions that took part in the civil war here decades ago, and it was the only one that was allowed to maintain its arms. Now, the stated reason for that was that they needed to maintain all of their weaponry in order to confront and prevent a potential further Israeli invasion. And so this is a real change in the status quo that we're seeing. And you're right, it has put them on a collision course with Hezbollah, who have, they responded to that with a statement saying that while they respect that the Lebanese state should be able to decide whether the country is at peace or at war, but that somebody had to respond to the continued Israeli aggressions, which is exactly what we've seen. So this declaration, this outlawing of Hezbollah's military activity, which was a number of days ago now, has not really had any effect on the ground. We've seen Hezbollah continuing to fire drones, projectiles into northern Israel. We've seen them confronting Israeli troops on the ground, whether that is in this broad swath of the south of the country, where we're seeing Israeli ground incursions continuing and expanding, or indeed on Friday evening in the Bekaa Valley, where we saw this Israeli commando raid. They dropped off using helicopters a number of infantry in the mountains on the Syrian-Lebanese border, who then went to this town of Nabishit. The Israeli military said that they were doing that in order to retrieve the body of an airman who disappeared about 40 years ago. And Hezbollah once again was engaging with the Israeli military on the ground. And so this attempt to renegotiate the balance of power politically, militarily here in Lebanon, so far hasn't really changed the facts on the ground.
Heidi Pett, reporter in for us live from Beirut.